Well, it's a pleasant good morning to everybody on today. I want you to know, man, it's going to be something great and phenomenal as always. All right, it's about that time for the Seven Cities Forum right here on the most talked about show on radio. It is Joy 1350 and WGPO 1350.com. But don't touch that down. We've got the Seven Cities Forum coming up for you right here with Dr. James Slim Overton. Oh man, it's going to be something great on today. Well, before we get started on the program, let us have a word of prayer. Father in heaven, we just thank you for this day, and Father, we thank you for our last night's slumber and sleep, how you've allowed us to wake up on this morning, Father, with no hurt, harm, and danger. You've given us the ability to have strength in our hands, feet, and minds, our ears. And God, we ask you that we use them for your glory. On today, God, we ask that you would anoint these people, that they may give us what we need to hear. That would make us better citizens in our community. We thank you and we praise you. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen and thank God. Well, Mr. Overton, I say a pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Bishop. And I'd like to tell all the listeners and watching us on Facebook to make sure you stay tuned to the Bishop Edward Johnson every day at 6:30 to 10 o'clock as he brings great gospel music and inspirational words from his wise brain. But Bishop, I appreciate it and thank you for the introduction and welcome everybody. Every day we rise is a great day to be alive, and welcome to WGPL Joy 1350 AM. And we are now going with the Seven Cities Forums of Hampton Roads presents Portsmouth Coffee Talk. And we have our guests. Well, before we get to our guests, we have our host, Leah Stith, and the Colonel is traveling today, so he won't be with us today, but he's here in spirit. We wish him safe traveling mercies. So, Leah, good morning to you.
Good morning, James. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning.
Well, we do have our special guests. I'll introduce them first, and then Leah has a special something she has to share with you. We have this morning Sam Allen, who is one of the players, a former player with the Negro Baseball League. And he's going to be with us momentarily to talk about his career. And he's a local legend here from Norfolk. So stay tuned after this word from our other host, Leah Stith.
Good morning, James. And during this Black History Month, we're highlighting different individuals who we like to celebrate. Today, during Black History Month, we celebrate an extraordinary educator, Dr. Joseph Leon Knight. Dr. Knight has elevated the minds of students at I.C. Norcom High School over 30 years by providing an extra level of effort and a better learning platform for students, thereby achieving great success. His approach to educating his youth is by using efficient approaches that allows his students to learn positively, achieving sufficient development of their knowledge and skills. This was recently demonstrated in his students passing the SOLs at 98% for his world history class. He focuses on long-term learning. He makes sure his students understands the concept so that it remains in their memory longer, making it a permanent memory. Dr. Knight respects his students, referring to them as his scholars. He gives his students birthday and Christmas presents with the parents' permission. He grades with a positive intent. He's engaging and entertaining while teaching important concepts. Most of all, he shows from the very first day that they enter his class that he cares, not only for them, for their families as well. And he does not have any disciplinary problems. Today, Portsmouth Coffee Talk salutes a great educator who has touched the lives of so many in the city of Portsmouth and those who entered the doors of I.C. Norcom High School. He is none other than Mr. I.C. Norcom and a master pipe organist on top of it all. He is currently completing his second doctoral degree. Today, we salute you, Dr. Joseph Leon Knight.
Oh, Dr. Knight. So when he finishes that second degree, we call him Dr. Doctor?
Dr. Knight.
Dr. Knight. Yeah, and Leah, that's a great achievement, especially during the virtual learning, and people have concerns about our students learning virtually as opposed to in class.
Yeah.
And I guess it depends on the teacher. A lot of it depends on the teacher.
He mentioned to me
90%.
that he doesn't have students who miss his class, and
Yes.
that he comes on early, and most of his students are already online waiting for him to come online. That's a sign of a great teacher.
Right. People want to be in this class or want to be in this class. That's great. So, well, we'll move on, and thank you for that history moment. We have another one later on in the show, but we have another history or legend, local legend from Norfolk, Virginia, but he has a lot of Portsmouth ties. So we want to welcome Sam Allen, as I introduced him earlier. He's a former member of the Negro Baseball League, and which is now recognized along with the National Baseball League. I think they combine all the records and everything and the players. So we'll talk about that later, whether that's an advantage or disadvantage. But anyway, good morning, Sam. How you doing?
Good morning. How you doing?
Yeah, and this is not Sam rodeo here on the station. We had him on some time back, but we always have to bring him back because the wealth of information he has from his experiences, in the Negro League are worth sharing over and over and over again. One of the first things I want to start out, well, let me say this first. One of the Black History Month, today I'm honoring my HBCU, Virginia Union University, and just wanted to give a shout out to those people, especially those people that were there in the early 70s, from 72 to 76 and on, all those people in the 70s. A big shout out to you guys, and look forward to when we can get back to the homecoming next year and I can see you. Had to bring that up since I'm always surrounded by these Norfolk State.
And next week, I will highlight Norfolk State University. Behold the green and gold.
Yes, and I will yield that to you. For real, the maroon and steel. Of BUU. But anyway, we'll get back to you, Sam. Sorry about that. But anyway, Sam, before we get started, I want to let the people know, and a lot of people know.
But let me tell you, since you're talking about Union, Larry Doby went to Union.
Oh, okay. I figured, people from everywhere. And Larry Doby, did he played in the Negro League as well?
No, he played in the Negro League, and then he played in the Major League, with the Cleveland Indians, 1948.
Wow. Oh, great. Well, he was a little prouder.
Then he became one of the Black managers in the Major Leagues.
Oh. Thanks for that bit of history. I'll make sure I put that on our Union page. But I wanted to mention this, Sam, that, you grew up in Norfolk, you went to Booker T, but you had a game at Booker T, and it wasn't baseball, but this was football, where you scored 6 touchdowns. And I just wasn't against Norcom.
No, 4 extra points.
And 4 extra points.
Yeah.
My thing is, it wasn't against Norcom, was it?
Huh?
It wasn't against IC Norcom, was it?
No, oh no. No.
But tell me, and then you played baseball there, which is where you sort of hone your skills and everything, and where you really got noticed. Back in the day, you played in high school, and then they had these community baseball leagues and everything.
Right.
So how did you first, get discovered as far as being recruited to go into the National League, the National Baseball?
You had semi-pro teams. Norfolk had quite a few semi-pro teams. Portsmouth had semi-pro teams. Guys like Leon Ruffin, who had played in the Negro American League for about 17 years. And he was from Portsmouth. So when he finished his career, he came back to Portsmouth and he formed a semi-pro team. And we used to play against them. And I played a lot of semi-pro ball. And that's where I cut my teeth in semi-pro ball. And as time went on, you found out if you're going up or you're going down, because there were a lot of good pitchers in semi-pro, and I had to get some help from guys because I used to have trouble hitting that left-handed pitching. And a guy named Sears White, who was one of the best left-handed hitters around Tidewater, he taught me how to hit those left-handed pitches.
Wow, people that don't know baseball don't know how technical it can get as far as learning how to hit left-hand pitches or
right. If you're a left-handed batter, left-handed pitchers is coming from the porch side, but you batting, he throwing that ball in your face, and you go step out the box because, but after a while you had to stand in there. You learn how to stand in there and swing.
And then you had hitters who were switch hitters.
Right.
So tell me what that was.
Some batters would bat left-handed and they would bat right-handed. Yeah.
Depending on the pitch. I was
strictly a left-handed batter.
Yeah. Okay. And we go back a little bit to another inspiration that you had when you were coming up in Norfolk. It was a player that came to Norfolk that really inspired you. Can you talk about that player?
That came to Norfolk?
They came to Norfolk. They came to one of the fields that you were playing baseball in or that you were watching baseball.
Oh, Willie Mays was one of the inspiration. 1951, Willie Mays was the rookie of the year in the majors, and he got drafted, and he was at Fort Houston's. And there used to be a fellow that had a restaurant in Portsmouth. He had played in the 1924 World Series. His name was Joe Louis.
Wow.
He had a place on County Street.
Not the boxer, but.
No. But he would be the promoter of all of the Negro League games. Whenever Negro League team played in Tidewater, he would be the one that promoted the games. And I met him through some of my friends. And when Willie Mays came to Tidewater, he would play with Fort Houston during the week. And then on the weekend, he would have like an all-star team. So they chose me to go and play with the all-star team. When I first started, because I played a couple of games, the first couple of games, I hit about 3 foul balls in 2 games because they were a little, I hadn't seen any pitching like that before. And I had a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, didn't you also have a sighting or something with Jackie Robinson? Wasn't he in town?
Oh yeah, I met when Jackie Robinson came through. That was when 1947, when Jackie Robinson went to the majors. That's where all the black kids, we had heroes, because before Jackie Robinson, everybody wanted to box like Joe Louis, you know. But when Jackie Robinson came through, then we all want to play baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And when Jackie Robinson came to Norfolk, the game was at 8 o'clock. We were at the ballpark at 12 o'clock that day. And after the game, I got a chance to shake hands with him. And I knew that I wanted to be a baseball player.
Yeah, you couldn't get a better inspiration than that.
Had a lot of work to do. Took a lot of work. And
now,
I tell you.
Let's talk about when you went to the Kansas City Monarchs, how you went to Jacksonville and you had only $25 and paid $19 for a one-way ticket. Tell us about that experience. That was pure faith. That was faith.
And $3 more for a taxi. So I ended up with $3.
You ended up with $3. So tell us about that experience.
Oh yeah. Well, I met a fellow. I was in Cincinnati's minor league camp, and I thought that I was going to make it. And he told me, he said, look, they had an airplane coming in with about 50 Cubans. The Cubans were the dominant players from the Latin America at that time. a guy named Bill Powell, he had played with the Birmingham Blackburn. And he said, Junior, he's called all the young guys Junior. He said, I tell you, said that plane comes twice a year. They bring 50, then they come back in September and pick up 50. Now, most of you are going to have to try to find somewhere else to play. So a guy named Bob Mitchell had been through the camp, and they told us, said, well, look, here's my number. Call me. So I took his number, and I got cut. When I got home, I said, now, I need to call him. So he said, come on down to Jacksonville. You can make this team. I hadn't seen him, I think about 3 days I met him. So I really didn't know him. So I called. He said, come on down. So I went and got me a $19 one-way ticket to Jacksonville. Got on that bus. When I got to Jacksonville, left on a Good Friday night. During that time, riding the bus to Jacksonville was like from all day Saturday to 12 o'clock Saturday night. When I arrived in Jacksonville, the team was loading up, getting ready to come to Charleston. So when I got out the taxi, and I went in the hotel, and I seen the manager, a fellow named Jim Robinson. The manager's name was Dizzy Dismute, and he was tall, dark-skinned man. He was shaving with the straight razor. And he asked me, he said, you a ball player? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, I wish you told me you could have met us in Charleston. I said, we're going to Charleston. So I said, okay. So I got on the bus and I rode to Charleston. It was supposed to play the Jacksonville All-Stars. Well, they showed up with about 4 ball players and had a park full of people. So you know they don't want to lose that money. They want to get the people the money back. So he said, what we're going to do, we don't usually do this. We're going to let you play with Jacksonville. So I said, okay, I was glad to play with it because I'm down in I'm in Charleston with $3. Now I have no way to get back. So I said, well. So I played that Sunday with Jacksonville. And the first time up, I got a single and I stole a base. Next time up, I struck out. And I said, oh boy, I got to do better than this. So the third time up, I hit one over the scoreboard.
Woo.
And that night, when it finished, the manager said, come here, sir. I don't have to worry about you beating me again. Said, look, sign this contract. I didn't even look at the contract. Contract was $150, but that was like
a lot of money.
$5,000 to me. So look, I got a contract, plus they give me $2 a day meal money, and I didn't have but $3. So now I got $5 and a job. So I was able to leave with them. And before, the strange thing that day, I hadn't been to bed from Thursday. So that's when we got to Charleston, they had all the rooms and they had this Cuban weighed about 250 named Joe Arenas. And some of the hotels we stayed in, they had one bed.
Ooh.
So you had 2 players and he weighed about 250 and he's sleeping in the middle of the bed. So I said, well, let me go back down to the lobby. So I slept on the sofa. So that next night, that Sunday night, I was able, they had got a room with a bed. I slept all night, and half of the next day, they had to wake me up when they got ready to leave. But to say that, since we started playing, and we played for about 10 days straight. And I started shaking my head. I said, I wonder, is this what I want to do? I mean, a lot different when you play on a weekend, play Saturday and Sunday, and then you go home and sleep in your bed the rest of the week. But when you sleeping on the bus and you eating peanut butter and crackers and Vienna sausages and playing a game, You got to play in one town, then you go 500 miles playing in another town. You start praying for rain.
Yeah.
But
So it get rained out.
yeah, but look, like, I think it was almost 30 days before we had any rain.
Sam, let me bring up a bit of history, since this is Black History Month concerning the Negro League. A lot of people don't know that at one point, all the games, especially in the major leagues, were played during the day because they didn't have any light at night. But it was somebody in the Negro Leagues that sort of transported
Right.
light
The
for a
Kansas
night
City Monarchs were the first team.
to do that.
That was 5 years before the major leagues played on the lights.
Major League did it,
Yeah.
and
They used to go around with the dynamos. If you ever played with the dynamos, they got them on the truck. And when you at the bat, all of a sudden that dynamo cranks up. Everything gets real dark.
Mhm.
Then it'll lighten up. But that's the way it was with those type of lights. But the Negro League was actually the first team for the 5 years they played before the majors.
Yeah, and that's history. A lot of people didn't know that, and it's nothing like a nighttime.
And at that time,
baseball.
the Negro League teams were compatible to the major league teams because they played them over 250 times, and the Negro League teams won over 200 times. But what they would do, history would show they made the Negro League teams play as all-star teams. So you couldn't say that the Kansas City Monarchs beat the New York Yankees. They'll say the Negro League All-Stars beat the New York Yankees.
Yeah, so if you
Sam, share with
you
us
played the best.
some of those names that they had for those Negro League teams.
Well, you had the Birmingham Black Barons. You had the Atlanta Black Crackers. See, Atlanta had a team in the Southern League with the white team. They were Atlanta Crackers. And Birmingham was the Birmingham Barons. But the black teams were the black. It's like Chattanooga had the Choo-Choos, and the black team would be the Chattanooga Black Choo-Choos. They always put the black before the name, see, let you know who it was. It was the black team.
And what about those Zulus?
Oh, the Zulu Clowns. Yeah, they used to have grass skirts they used to play. Then you had the House of David. That was a Jewish cult. They used to wear the long beards. They played black teams.
But Sam, people now might think about those names like the Memphis, was it Memphis Clowns
No, Memphis was the Red Sox. Indianapolis was the Clowns.
Indianapolis Clowns.
Yeah, they from Cincinnati, they moved to Indianapolis.
And people today might think, well, why would anybody play under those names? But it was a purpose for that. You had to have those colorful names and things like that
for a drawing card.
For a drawing card to make sure.
And the Clowns, what they did, they had clowns with them, like King Tut. He was a clown. He was a clown, and Specs Bebop was a midget. He was about 3 feet tall. And that's all they did all during the game was clown.
Oh, he didn't.
And at the 7th inning, they used to play the shadow ball. They'd have an infield, and they would pass the ball around in the infield, but they didn't have a ball, but they would make you think that they had a ball,
And you can't leave out the fact that if we're talking historically, there were some tremendous black female players back in the day.
Oh yeah, you had. Matter of fact, Negro League was unique because they had 5 white players, and they had women. You had 3 women that played. Tony Stone. She was the infielder. She played with the Clowns, and then she played with Kansas City Monarchs. You had Connie Morgan that played, and you had Mamie Peanut Johnson, who played with the Clowns.
I think I heard of her, the Peanut.
You had 1945, you had the white boy named Eddie Kemp. He pitched with the Cleveland Buckeyes. Oh, you know, we had, I guess, integration in the, because when the Negro League formed in 1920, Wilkins, the owner of the Monarchs, was white. Up until 1956, you had Wilkins, and he sold it to Tom Beard, and Ted Raspberry was the first black owner of the Monarchs. That was in 1956 when he took over.
I have to tell you, Sam, your memory is impeccable. I can't remember who I met yesterday. And you go back to all these people with these names, it must be because it was such an impact on your life.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
impact.
yeah.
Even though your games, you had a big white audience, you still faced a lot of discrimination, you know, as far as where you had to stay, where you had to eat, how you
Right,
had.
but see, Negro League Baseball, they had to scramble because they found out that it was a lot of money. Now, 1920 to 1924, Negro League Baseball drew over 400,000 people. It was the third largest black business in the country. You know, Atlanta Life and North Carolina Mutual, there was an insurance company because, you know, the white companies didn't insure black folks. And that made them the top black business in the country. And Madam C.J. Walker with the hair products, she was the first female to make $1 million. And Negro League Baseball, because we drew over 400,000 fans. Then the whites formed the Eastern Colored League to try to put Rube Foster out of business. See, but Rube Foster, who formed the Negro League, was real smart because he went to Comiskey and all these teams that had these major league parks. This was during segregation. Matter of fact, when the Negro League started in 1920, we had just had that riot in Chicago and all over in 1919. You know, a lot of blacks got killed because a lot of the guys come back from the war, veterans were killed out in Chicago and in places. So they formed the Negro League the next year. And what they did, they formed the Eastern Colored League. That was a team with all white, that was a league with all white owners. They were trying to push the Negro League out of business. But Rube Foster was able to withstand that. And Negro League lasted until 1962 was when the end of the teams.
When the players started.
And as a matter of fact, talking about history, in Portsmouth, you have a dentist that up on Effingham Street. His grandfather was the commissioner, the last commissioner of the Negro League, J.B. Martin, the dentist. Yeah, his grandfather was the last commissioner and the owner of the Chicago American Giants and the Memphis Red Sox. Yeah, he owned the Memphis Red Sox too.
Well, Portsmouth had a play into the Negro League. So that's
and you had Ernie Lewis, who retired. He played with the Memphis Red Sox in '57. Then came to Portsmouth, played with the Tide. Then he ended up retiring as deputy chief of police in Portsmouth.
Ernie Lewis,
Ernie.
It had another police officer that played in the league too. I can't remember, Don Brown, I believe.
Don Brown, but Brown didn't play in the Negro League. He played in organized ball.
Oh, okay.
But Ernie, I played against Ernie in '57. I was with the Monarchs. Ernie was with the Memphis Red Sox.
Yeah, I bet you a lot of people didn't know that about Ernie Lewis. You know, they just knew him as a police. I think he was a lieutenant or something like that.
He ended up being the deputy chief of police.
Deputy chief, okay.
Yeah, deputy chief. Yeah.
Sam, your memory is just outstanding. Let me ask you a question. Since they have now decided to make you all a part of the National Baseball League, what benefits do you get from that as being a member of the Negro League?
I've been getting some benefits, but since they've changed, before they decided that they were going to change the records. They including the records, but doesn't mean too much for myself and the few of the guys that's living. But what happened, guys like Hank Aaron, Mays, that played and hit home runs in the Negro League, that would up their home run record because guys that played in the major leagues, their records would go up. Like Roy Campanella, he played 10 years in the Negro League with Baltimore Elite Giants. So it'll help their records. But my records won't be the same. It'll be the same, you know.
About how many members of the Negro League is still around?
They say about 60, but out of the 60, the fellas like myself that played over 4 years, I don't think it's over 10 of us that played over 4 years. But some players played 1 year, 2 years, and give it up. It was tough riding that bus. See, a lot of players couldn't cut that bus ride every night. Yeah, I mean,
playing 7 days a week, huh?
That's right. What you used to play was on Monday through Thursday, you played one game. Friday, you played doubleheader. Saturday, you played doubleheader. And some Sundays, you played 2 doubleheaders.
Wow.
Yeah.
And some of those guys, a lot of those guys had families at home that they were missing.
Well, I'm telling you, a lot of good players didn't play in the Negro League because they had families. Now, you had a fellow in Portsmouth named Arthur Harden. Now, he was been one of the great players, but they had a house full of babies. He couldn't go nowhere.
Arthur Harding from Portsmouth?
Yeah.
Wow. From Mount Herman?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
His son was a great baseball player as well.
Huh?
Arthur Jr. I guess it was Arthur Jr.
Yeah, son. Yeah. He was a good baseball player. Yeah.
Great baseball player. Wow.
Yeah.
Also from the great class of 67, Mr.
Right.
Overton.
Yeah.
Yeah, and pretty soon we'll be switching from the radio. Sam, if you want to hang on, we're in the radio, but we'll still continue our conversation on Facebook. Because I wanted people to know that you also served in the U.S. Army.
Right.
I think
that was in the 82nd.
82nd Airborne. Okay.
Second 504. Yeah,
jumped out of
82nd
plane.
Airborne.
Yeah.
So,
Delved in baggy pants.
yeah. want to make sure people know that too. But before we go off the radio air, Leah has another Portsmouth history moment she likes to share with us.
Today we celebrate another great Norcomite. We salute another mighty Greyhound, Lynn Browley, a Norcom graduate, class of 1967. She was one of the first 3 African-American residential students to attend the College of William and Mary, where they were recently recognized by William and Mary community with a year-long series of events commemorating the 50th anniversary of the desegregation of William and Mary. During this celebration, Ms. Browley received an honorary degree, Doctor of Humane Letters. She has served in numerous positions in the Portsmouth school system for over 40 years. The highlight of her tenure was when she became the first female and the first alumni president of her alma mater, IC Norcom High School, where she invoked the spirit of Sankofa, which means to go back in order to move forward. That spirit from the past, which she brought to her administration, included pride, respect, high standards, academic excellence, and good sportsmanship. Ms. Browley is currently an adjunct instructor at TCC Portsmouth chapter. Today, Portsmouth Coffee Talk salutes Ms. Lynn Fontaine Browley.
Thank you, Leah. Appreciate that. We must remember and honor our local heroes, legends.
And not always those who have passed.
Yes, while they're living. And
while they're living.
And people will have an opportunity to talk to them, and they can share their experiences with the people, with our, especially our youth. So thank you
Exactly.
for that. Dr. Knight first and Lynn Browley second. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, and everybody, thanks everybody who were listening on WGPL 1350 Joy. And we will see you next week as we come back, and we will have another guest ending out, closing out our Black History Month. But remember, we're going to always be talking Black history on this program. So, but we just happen to focus on this month. But stay tuned as we continue what we do for our
Voice,
our community
our future.
and our future. We appreciate it. Thank you, and God bless you. And we'll see you next week on the radio. Thank you, Bishop. We appreciate that. And Bishop will close us out whenever he has the opportunity. Okay, back to you, Sam. We'll continue on Facebook Live and the radio as long as we're connected. But I wanted to say, well, we ended up that session with talking about your military career. How were you drafted while you were playing baseball, or what happened? How
Yeah, I was drafted.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, I was supposed to go to Canada with the Satchel Paige All-Stars in 1960, but I got a draft notice, and I ended up
Okay.
being drafted into the Army.
Okay.
But then once I was drafted, I volunteered for the Airborne.
So you said after you were drafted, you didn't get a chance to return to the Negro League. But
No, because what happened, I got extended after, when you drafted, you get 2 years, but I got extended 2 months and 10 days because I went in January. I should have gotten out in January, but I got extended up until April, which spring training was over. So that was the end of that. That was 3 years. So I had to give it up.
The one thing I liked that you said, Sam, was that you were fortunate enough to play in the Negro League, and you had a lot of fun. And one thing you said you count your blessings, and you count wins, and you don't count losses.
Right.
Such a positive look at life.
And I tell you, there was a little white fellow when he was in high school. Before he went to high school, he had a passion, and his passion was to go on the computer and find the stats, because it was hard to find stats on Negro League players. But he would look up stats, and in 2004, they started giving us a pension, which was a stifles. They started giving us a stifles in 2004, and his passion was to look up these stats so that the players could get the pension. And I talked with him in about 10 years, and he said, Sam, you got it. You got the time. I'm gonna find it for you. I said, okay. So about 4 years ago, Norfolk State had to play fences. And I was walking over to the baseball game, and the fellow saw me, say, hey, man, hey, look, we need to get you on the, he saw the Kansas City cap that I wear. And he said, we'd like for you to come and be on the stage after the play. Because fences was about baseball player in Pittsburgh, who he tried, but he told his son wanted to be an athlete, and he didn't want his son to be an athlete. He said, because you're not going to be able to go anywhere, and you're not going to be able to make it. So I was on the stage, and the lady was out in the audience after the play. She said, look, they're they had this fellow, Cam Perone, on national television. So how he used to help the players get their pension. So she said, "Do you know this fellow Perone?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, has he helped you?" I said, "Well, he talked with me." And that Monday, believe it or not, I got a call. He told me, so Sam said, "I found your time." Because it was 1 year that they couldn't find the record. He said, "I've got your time in now." So he turned it into Major League Baseball. And they sent me a check. And the man, and the guy named was Beneville, who charged of the pension. And so he said, "Well, you got the time in." So they sent me a check from the time that the pension had started until now. So that was a blessing for me.
All right.
So it all paid off.
Oh yeah, but see, and you know, and that's why I said sometime when it wasn't my intention of playing in the Negro League, because 55, 56, the Memphis Red Sox, Goose Carey wanted me to come to Memphis, but I was trying to hold out because I thought I was going to be able to go into organized ball, and that thing hurt me because I didn't make organized baseball. But then sometimes I'm better off of playing in the Negro League than I was if I played in organized ball. I probably wouldn't be getting anything now.
Right.
Yeah, so God is good all the time.
You played for the Kansas City Monarchs, the Raleigh Tigers, and the Memphis Red Sox.
That's right.
Now, did you have a preference of teams that you were playing with?
Just look at the hat he's wearing.
I know.
Well, the
Kansas
City, the Kansas City was the team like the New York Yankees, but I tell you, the Memphis Red Sox, the Martins, they had a trust fund for the team, and Memphis had their own baseball park. They were the last team in Negro League that had a baseball park. And when you played in Memphis, you stayed on the road 2 weeks and you would come home. And at the ballpark, we had room, and you had a laundry, and you had a kitchen. And Memphis was, if you played with the Red Sox, when you went up Beale Street, they recognized you. And I looked in the paper yesterday, they had a picture that they have over the museum, the Harlem House restaurant. I used to eat there, eat lunch there. They had a hot dog special for 99 cents. They dice up 2 hot dogs and put it in, and they give you an order fry and a slice of lettuce and tomato for 99 cents. Yeah.
But listen, besides your honey and crackers and peanut butter that you took in your bag, how did you get your food? You said you would go into the back and see who the cook was. And then what took place after you recognized if the cook was of color?
Oh, well, they would, if you get whatever you ate, they would double it. They would give you, you know, how we looked out for each other. Mm-hmm. They would, I guess it was the man knew what they were doing. They killed both of us. But we knew how to survive, you know, because we looked out for each other.
Yeah, survival.
Sam, as far as in the Negro League, in the owners, were they all black or a lot of the owners were white? And I think I recall it being one owner being a female, a black female. Or
well, you had 5. What they did, Raspberry, when he took over the Kansas City Monarchs, he owned the Detroit Stars. So what he did, rather than had 2 teams, he switched the ownership of the Detroit Stars into his niece's name. See, and then you had Ethel Manley, who ran the Newark Eagles. She was the owner. She ran that team. Yeah, the Newark Eagles. That's the team that Monty Irving, Larry Doby, they came from the Newark Eagles.
And a lot of these owners, they were hands-on. They weren't figureheads.
Yeah, and plus, what we did during that time, most the owners were really remember bankers. So see, in the Black community, that was our Wall Street at that time. They were the one that had the money and could afford to lose money, you know. Yeah, you could sometime we would play. I know we were up in North Dakota, and we were playing in first of the month. We were playing 200 or 300 people, a lot of Indians watching. And when payday came, we got a check. He was sent a big check, and we had to go through 3 towns to get enough money to cash the check. But every month, every payday, the 1st and the 15th, you got paid with the Monarchs. Raspberry, he had plenty of money.
Well, Mr. Allen, in light of this Negro History Month that we have, I need to mention that you've been honored in many other ways. You've been to the White House, Library of Congress when it honored the Negro League, the White House when the 60th anniversary of Jackie Robinson's breaking baseball's color line. And also you were honored by the city of Norfolk in a celebration that featured Negro League's legend Buck O'Neill in 2004.
Right.
Also inducted into the Tidewater Baseball Shrine and Hampton Roads African American Sports Hall of Fame. And most of all, you have a copper pass that allows you to go to any professional football field in the country. Have you used your pass?
You mean any baseball field?
Any baseball. What did I say?
Oh yeah, I go to the games. Matter of fact, I go to the Tide games every night.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and when I go to DC, I use the pass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can use that pass in the professional baseball park in the country.
Can you take anybody with you?
Yeah, with a guest.
Oh, I think I need to be your guest.
Well, my grandson taking that over now.
Family first, Leah.
Family first.
Family first. Hey, Sam, I remember I was there at that game when the Norfolk Tides honored you and a few other people from this local area.
Oh, yeah.
Which resulted in them having a permanent plaque there at the stadium.
In the ballpark.
In the ballpark. I remember that day you were out there on the field, and that was a great day. And I was honored to be a guest of yours in the one of those skyboxes.
Skyboxes, yeah.
Right next to us was what's the fellow name? The baseball player for the Yankees, I believe. Wright.
David Wright with the Mets.
David Wright with the Mets.
Yeah.
And you know, and that was a big honor. I mean, he was about as big as you can get locally.
Oh yeah.
Behind you, of course.
Right.
But that was a great day to be recognized. And how did that feel to be recognized, especially by your hometown?
Oh, that really made me feel good. And then I was able to have you out there as a guest, my daughter, my grandson, and matter of fact, I had 2 skyboxes. So yeah, and Paul Riddick, looked out for me with the city and office skybox, and then the Tides gave me a box. So I had quite a few of my friends there that night.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And
then, you know, I think about the ballpark when I used to go to the baseball park and catch foul balls to get in. Now I look when I pass the ballpark that I can look up there and see my name, my plat on the wall at the baseball park. You know, that's a great honor.
Great honor.
Sam, how close have they come to it? I know they were talking one time about naming, I think, the Booker T. Washington baseball field after you. How far have they gotten with that?
I think they're working on that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're gonna check into that and see if it can be any participation by anybody else, you know, as far as by petition or something like that to make sure that happens. I don't know if that's
right.
The case, but maybe we need to check and see if that's a possibility, because I know
right.
would sign that if it's a
Yeah,
petition, or maybe
appreciate
someone
that.
can charge that. Yeah, that's a good idea. And also here in the city of Portsmouth, the Colored Library is planning something, an exhibit for you.
Yeah, they asked me to help them, but I want to get the people from Portsmouth involved in who they put in there, because a lot of the local athletes should go in there on it, because they're going to exhibit. They said for 2 years, but it should be forever.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
you're right.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
right.
it should be forever,
And a lot of people don't know the
because you
history
got a lot of the Portsmouth
of
athletes from Portsmouth, like Buster Hayward. That's his nephew Carl Hayward. That's Carl Hayward's uncle.
Wow.
Wow.
Carl,
You
another
know,
great member of the class of 67, James.
huh?
So yeah, so Buster Hayward. So I guess he was, because Carl Hayward's mother was my homeroom teacher. So I
Yeah,
guess
Mabel Haywood.
Mabel Hayward. So I
Yes.
guess she was married to either Buster or or one of the brothers.
Right, right. Yeah. But then you had Leon Ruffin. That's one of the, he played almost 20 years in Negro League. We did a headstone ceremony for him years ago when Bernard Griffin was acting mayor.
Right.
We did a thing at the Lincoln Cemetery.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, with Chester
wow.
Moody, because Moody played with the Clowns.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, Chester played with the Clowns.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't
Mhm.
know that. And
I
they
didn't
never
know
heard,
it either.
know him
No
real
one
well,
told
and
me
never
for
heard
years.
him speak of that.
Yeah, Chester was a good catcher.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, and that's why we do these shows, to make
Yeah,
sure
because
we bring this
matter of
history
fact,
to light.
I have a video of the ceremony. At Chester, I tell you what, we had a SABRE, is the Society of Baseball Research in America. And the Jerry Malloy Conference is part of the, what they have for the Negro League. But Portsmouth, Tom Garrett was a friend of mine. He's passed on now. But Portsmouth, we had the conference in Portsmouth, and Portsmouth was the only city that had the Negro League conference that didn't have a Negro League team in the Negro League. But with that conference, we had one of the best conference and the best attended conference that they ever had. The one we had it at the museum on downtown, Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, yes.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And
And that
when
night we had we went to the ballpark and we had the ferry. When I brought in about 10. I brought in 10 Negro League players, and they still talk about how we went down the foot of High Street, got on the ferry, and rode to the ballpark that night. Yeah.
Wow. That really is history. How about that, Leah?
I'm telling you, I've learned. I told Sam, I've known Sam for so many years. And all of the years I've known Sam, we never talked about this. I only know Sam as the floor and towel man.
Yeah.
Because he can come and do your carpeting, your towel, and things like that for you. And then to have read the article on Sam and his involvement in the Negro League. And then he used to talk to my grandson eventually. And not right away, but then he talks to my grandson about being involved in the Negro League. Right. And I didn't realize I was surrounded by such a great man who had done so much for us as a people, as far as being a part of history. So
yeah, one thing Sam has been doing for most of his life since he's been out of baseball is going around and talking to you and sharing his experience with them.
Yeah, try to keep it alive. You know.
Yeah, somebody inspired him, so he's doing the same for a lot of the young people. We must keep that, and hopefully with the infusion of the Negro League with the National League, we don't lose that history of the Negro League.
Yes,
doesn't get lost in the sauce.
But you know, we have that Negro League Museum that's in Kansas City.
City. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that they and if you ever go to Kansas City, you need to visit that museum because they have the Negro League on one side and the Jazz Museum on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both.
Where they have
are
Charlie
powerful
Parker
American
and all the Jazz Museum. Yeah.
And just like you said, whatever we do here, as far as displays, should be permanent.
Exactly.
Right.
Make sure the generations after us,
Yeah.
will be aware of
Yeah, right. I mean, now I'm gonna tell you, if you want someone who has a selection of Negro League displays, Derek Jones. You know, Derek Jones, he's a retired educator, but he put on an exhibit at down at Virginia Beach. He has a whole room full of Negro League memorabilia.
Mm.
And where in Virginia is it in his house, or it's a personal thing, or was it?
No, he set it up at it's a batting cage in Virginia Beach.
And he set it up there.
Yeah.
Right.
I think he was the principal out at Camelot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he's retired educator. Yeah.
Well, Sam, you know what? This really proves that the point that our poor kids are sitting in the house behind computers and watching TV. And we know that as you were growing up, you didn't have the advantage of having that.
Well,
So
you didn't have air conditioning. It was cool outside than it was in the house.
And you also started using a broomstick, was it?
That's right, a broomstick and a tennis ball.
And a tennis ball.
Yeah.
That probably helped your game a lot, because
bat speed, Yeah.
a broomstick is about that big, and compared to a bat, so that probably helped your hitting average. Yeah. So well, Sam, I really thank you for coming on again, and we're gonna have you again because the stories that you can tell about your experience, it wasn't 20 years, it was like 4 or 5 or maybe, but it's a lot of stories mixed into those years that you experienced the Negro League and the people that you ran into, and what you have to offer is invaluable to us. Exactly. And we appreciate you coming on.
And if once the pandemic lightens up and the Ties start playing, I'm gonna try to invite y'all to Harbor Park before the season is over.
Please we appreciate that. It was very exciting sitting in that spot. I know at one time I wanted to go outside and sit, and somebody said, well, if you sit here, you might get hit in the head for baseball. So I went immediately back inside. I wanted to witness the whole game. And I figured I'll be the one to get hit by the ball.
Yeah. Hey, Leah.
Yes.
Tell the Lacey I asked about him.
I surely will, Sam. I will.
And thank your daughter, Avante, for setting this up. And
here she is.
Opportunity to talk to you. Stick your head in there, Avante. So.
And listen, and the thing about it, I told her, and all the times as I've known her, and we worked together on Title I projects, I didn't know she was Sam's daughter. But then when she told me who her father was, I said, oh my God, yes, they do look just alike. So, the things we learn here on Coffee Talk.
My dad.
And again, thank you, Avante. She's also been a guest on here as a representative of the Portsmouth Health Department. We really appreciate all the information she has provided to us here on Coffee Talk as well. But again, thanks everyone for watching Portsmouth Coffee Talk this week, as we have at our special guest, Sam Allen from the Negro Baseball League, now a part of the National Baseball League. And we will have him back, but we really appreciate him. And make sure you know your history, your local history especially, and make sure you pass it on, just like our ancestors way back in Africa. If you have to pass it on by word of mouth, that's the way to do it.
Amen.
Make sure that we they know the contributions that we made in building of this country. We appreciate you again. Leah, do you have any parting words?
And I want each of you who's online to take the time to thank Dr. Joe Knight and Ms. Lynn Browley for their contributions that they've made to the Portsmouth Public School System, as well as to our history as a people. Take that time to thank them for all that they have done.
Thank you, Leah. And yes, please do. Please do. Let them know. Give them their flowers now.
Exactly.
So thank you. We're going to sign off now, and we really appreciate everybody for watching, and stay in touch and continue to support us here on Portsmouth Coffee Talk as we try to continue to bring you, share information with you that might be a benefit to you or anyone out there. And just like we did today, share a little bit of history with our listeners and watchers on Portsmouth Coffee Talk. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Be aware, be informed, and be involved. And Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here to share our voice,
our community,
and our future.
future.
We should have said that together, but we'll get it.
We did.
Thank you, Leah. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. And thank you, Sam. Thank you so very much.
Take care.
All right. Well, daughter, one more time, huh? Woo.
Yep.